Welcome back to Barrel Brothers. Our sunny truck is kind of on an extended stay just up in the air here at the moment because we're working on, you know, we were pushing it in and out, pushing it in and out. In the end, we've just put it up on the stands, taken the wheels off so nobody pinches it, and we'll be working on the engine for the EFI and all that sort of stuff. Dave's got to come over and do some wiring, but we've got to get some hardware in place beforehand. So we're down a vehicle and we need something two-door and sporty. So I bought this. It's a 1992 EA11R Suzuki Cappuccino. It's only got 60,000 Ks on it, a little bit over 60,000 Ks. It's only come to the country fairly recently. I actually picked it up last night. I went over there with Ben, who may or may not feature in this story. Ben from BCW. Go and check him out. So we've got a couple of little things. We've got a couple of little dents in the roof here in this roof panel. These are quite quirky. I'll show you some funny stuff about them. Around the other side, so well, this was actually imported, I would say, late last year. The guy I bought it off bought it in January, and we've gotten through to here, and I think he just basically drove it, and there's reasons for that. What did happen amongst his ownership, which allowed me to talk him down a little bit on his price, was this. A little bit of a shame. There's the dent here, which is pretty typical for these because people try to push the bonnet closed when you need to drop it. They're very lightweight, only what, 700 odd kilos. I think they're 64 kilowatts, I think, I'm not sure, but they have some weird ass stuff. And there's some little quirks with these. We had one of these quite a while ago. It was horrible, but we made it look pretty good, but it wasn't a very good example. This one is a lot better. This is really good. It's only the only thing it seems to be missing is the bags for the roof. Once again, Benny can help us out there. But yeah, there's some weird ass stuff. So our bonnet pull is actually in here. And to open the fuel filler, which caught me out with the other one, that's in here. Fuel filler cap. I got caught up. I had no fuel. I was bringing it back from the Central Coast and I needed to fill it up and couldn't work out how to open the fuel filler. But the things that you need to look for when you get these things, generally, well, you can see this here, this waistband is not too bad. This is really good. These are usually chopped out to hell. So this is not a bad one. The other one that caught us out with the last one is this hole down the bottom here. Because you look at the slope of the car, water runs into there, and if this is blocked, which it was in our last car, that will actually overflow into the fuel tank because that edge is actually higher than that. With our old one, it filled up with water and rusted out the tank, so we had to change the fuel tank, which wasn't smart. To get the fuel tank out, you've got to basically take the whole rear end out, but it's all fairly small and light, which is good. The clutch is a little bit dodgy. It's funny, it works about that far away from the end of the travel, but it doesn't slip. Yeah, so we went and had a look at it last night. It's the mighty F6A, turbocharged, intercooled. I should get my pointer, but I haven't. Blow-off valve. It's got all the snappy gear. They're actually quite a good little thing. But as you know, the importers of these things will do. That's still the Japanese battery. Yeah, whoever like this hasn't been touched. I don't think it's been touched since it left Japan. These tyres are from 2008. And full of cracks. I had it sideways twice around roundabouts on the way home. Super safety, Mr. Importer. But as I said, the Japanese battery. What we did check last night was the smell of the oil. It just smelled old. So it hasn't been serviced in a long time. Good thing is though, we look at the coolant, is nice and green. There's no rust in the bottle. So yeah, that actually is very promising. But then today, when I was just checking a few things over, I decided to, because we checked the smell of the oil, but we didn't check the oil levels. The engine takes 3 litres to fill it up, and I had to put 1.5 litres in it to get it to the full mark. I had to put like a litre in it to get it to the bottom of the dipstick. So it only had 1.5 litres of oil in it. I think it's never been checked. So yeah. So our next job is going to be change all the fluids in it. And we would change the spark plugs, but we couldn't get it. We've got diff oil, we've got gearbox oil, we've got engine oil, we've got an oil filter, we've got an air filter. So yeah, I'm just going to roll it inside and we're going to do that. And I've got a wheel alignment for it today. Those tyres have got to go. But there is, yeah, we're going to have to be very careful about what wheels we put on this one, because there's a definite theme going to be going on here. Just dropped all the oil out of it, and even though I added half of the total capacity to it, it's still nice and black. And here's the telling thing, here's the oil filter. This hasn't been changed in a long time. Here's the telling bit though. Oh, that's all written in Japanese. Way to care for your customers there, Mr. Automobile Importer. So we've got a nice new air filter, a nice new oil filter, we've got some gearbox and diff oil, and we've got the engine oil. I'm not going to do the coolant today, but that needs to be done. We also need to bleed all the brakes, but it's getting late already, so I'm just going to do all the oils for the time being. We don't have the spark plugs for it yet, and we don't have a fuel filter because they didn't have a listing, so I've got to have a bit of a look and see where it is and find out what it is so we can change it. Boys and girls, if you're buying a car from any sort of a dealer, do all the fluids. They're trying to extract maximum dollars from your pocket, so do all the fuel fluids and check it over, because they're not going to. It costs money and they're not going to do it. Interestingly, the diff oil came out looking like it had been put in today. It didn't smell like diff oil, which is a bit odd. As for the gearbox, I haven't figured out where the drain plug is on it yet. It's probably one of those ones you've got to take the gearbox off and like empty it out. I don't know. We might have to do something with the clutch anyway. So it works really close to the end, but it doesn't slip. I've tried to make it slip and it just doesn't. So it's a cable clutch. Maybe the adjustment, it's got an adjustment somewhere that's up the doobies. Onwards we go. Put some engine oil in it, then we'll put some diff oil, which is a little bit hard to get to, but we'll get it in there, and the gearbox can just be done another day. Oh yeah, and as expected, the fuel pump sounds a bit noisy. I haven't taken the roof or anything off it yet, we haven't done the whole cycle, everything through, but we'll get there. So cute. I'm here with Ben from BCW. Say hi, Ben.
Hi, Ben.
We can show you his face because he's a professional. He's also got his own YouTube channel, which is there. Or is it there? Never remember from this angle. Anyway, we were talking, and it turns out that Ben owns a Viper. Now, this might not seem relevant just now, but it will become relevant shortly. I asked Ben for a lift over to have a look at the Suzuki Cappuccino, and he said
yes.
So, and then he also said
yes.
And then he also said,
I have a kit for one of those.
And I went, oh, okay. What sort of a kit?
A body kit.
And then he also said,
it looks like a Viper.
A Viper kit, you say?
Yes.
So there you go. This is why I'm down talking to Ben at the moment, because he has a Viper kit for a cappuccino. And that's what we're going to do, is stick it on, and he's given it to me for a real good price because he's had it for a long time.
You should put some tri-spokes on it.
I've had that thought, actually.
Good. That's the right thought.
Yeah. Like, so I do like the big fat white stripes, though. That's the only thing.
Yeah, I'm not so much on the stripes.
Oh, I like
Is it going to be red at least?
Yeah. Well, that's what I was thinking. Like, yeah.
Make the stripes vinyl so when I don't like them, I can peel them off.
It'll be good. So I'm going to grab this and chuck it in the van and take it back and see about getting it on.
Have fun with that.
Okay, so no cappuccino, and that's because it's down at Dentstar in Moorebank, where William is attempting to take out the dent in the side and the new one that I put in it. It's a little bit difficult because the previous owner actually tried to take it out, I don't know, with his hand or something, and it's pretty bloody wobbly, so it's going to need a bit of smoothing out when it gets some paint, because it's going to change colour. Anyway, I had it up on the hoist to change the fuel filter. So oil filter's got new oil in it, it's got new spark plugs in it, spark plugs are original, it's got new tyres on it. We changed the wheels while we're at it because 14-year-old tyres are not fun to get off wheels. The older tyres, they don't stretch and they're just a real mongrel, so I thought I'd just found something up in the shop that would fit and was fairly straight. Anyway, when we had it up on the hoist to do that, because the fuel filter is actually in front of the diff, there's a cross member that the diff sits on, or a cradle that the diff sits on, has two arms that goes forward, and it sits on the right hand or driver's side, one of those, the fuel filter. Same as some Daihatsu filter. Anyway, we got it up there, changed it all over, and while it was up there I noticed I could see daylight through the rear diff bush, and it's been a little bit clunky and it's a bit noisy back there, so I'm thinking, okay, so we'll need some bushes, maybe need some bushes, or maybe the diff stuff. I think it's just the bushes, and I think all three of them had it. So I thought, all right, no probs. I happen to have a cappuccino diff back at the shop, so I thought, let's have a look at that one. Lo and behold, that one's toast too. What about a leaf spring shackle bush? Somebody will, like Whiteline or somebody will have something that will go in there and do that job. So that's cool. Front board joints are toast. It needs a belt, it needs a tensioner, needs a cam timing belt, needs tensioner, needs, and I was talking to Benny, he said do a water pump while you're doing that. And parts have already started arriving, which is cool. Here we go, important stuff first. And they're red too, so they should be faster. Actually, it's pretty lucky that we got these, because up on the hoist again well, not again, the shocks are rooted. They've been there since 1992, as is ever. I don't think a damn thing's been changed on this car since it was new. Maybe the oil and filter, maybe the air filter. It was all pretty old. Anyway, they're toast. So this is going to tighten things up nicely. Okay, we've had over the past couple of days a care package arrived from Gav down at Garage 7. Yes! I like dealing with Gav because he doesn't give you any crap. He tells you exactly what you need to know about the product you want to buy, you know? Even whether it's good or bad. He doesn't, like, he won't BS you to sell you stuff. But these guys, two of which are already in the car, and then a boss kit to go with this delicious Nardi wheel. I got the perforated one this time. We've got a non-perforated one on the van, but we got the perforated this time. NR330, I think it is. Don't buy the fakes. They're made of garbage, and they just bend and break. Watch the YouTube videos. There's stuff out there, people just getting them and twisting them and breaking them. These don't. These are a really good quality wheel. Took it down to the dent guys, and they don't look at that side. They've straightened this out as good as they could. Still a bit rough, but you know, we've got some other plans for it. All right, another care package arrived, this time from Japan. Toyoshima Craft, which consists of side skirts and some flares, and there's another flare there. You're gonna start to get the Mark Vision coming together as I walk outside here, which is very cobbled, but what does that look like? That's right, a Viper. Viper Chino. This is the Doge Viper Chino. So that's the plan, with the big fat white stripes over the top. There's another little part that I found that goes in here, which I'm just about to go upstairs and order. I think that will complete the body package, and not these wheels. They're just absolutely wrong. It's about 2 inches extra. Remember, those wheels were poking, not poking by quite some margin. So we can definitely put some big fatties on it. The other thing we're going to have to do is do a bit of surgery so we can get it to run to our taste. not four-wheel drive height. Look at that, you can see the bloody guard underneath the flare. That sort of all seems to be sitting in the right place. That, and it lines up with this sort of bit here too. I think if that front bumper had actually come out a bit, see, it's got to go back probably 3 or 4 inches, but I think if it had come out, like followed the angle of the bonnet more, it would have been more Viper-esque. But yeah, we can only work what we've got with what we've got. So I think what the next plan of attack is to fix up this front. It's got a couple of cracks and one down under there. Give it a rub back, make it look all good. I think I've found, with the help of Miles, some spotties that have an indicator built in. See, there's my problem. There's the indicator back in there. Whoop, back in there. There's no provision on this bumper for it. Miles found me some like LED spotlights, but they have an indicator ring around the outside of the spotty in a 4-inch. So we're going to have to get that front bumper off and make up some mounts to fit those in there. The other thing is, the Viper has the indicator down here, and when they've made this kit, they've made that part there, so it will actually take the standard one. So I'm thinking that we might smooth that off and mount it down here instead. What I'm going to do is put that lovely Nardi on right now. Okay, so we came up with a little problem when fitting the Nardi, and it's to do with the boss kit here. Now this is the right boss kit for a Suzuki Cappuccino. The problem is that I put it on and the indicators weren't cancelling. So, and I need to put a little bit of a dab of grease on this anyway, on the end of there, but has these two not little bizzos here, and they, as you come back around, and you know, that's those little bits that stick out, turn it back off again, which is fine. The problem is this, so those guys there, the spacing on them is, I don't know if you can see that, 27.5, so about 28 millimeters thereabouts, and the spacing on this thing is quite a bit less, and it's about 27 or 28 millimeters. Won't really matter for the scheme of things. So what we need is those holes to be out there somewhere. So what I thought I'd do is pull all this apart and just put a slot in there, and that'll do the job. That is probably about it for this episode. There's still quite a bit to do to this thing. You've seen the vision. This is going to be great. All right, thanks for watching. See you next time.